Sales and marketing. I want to talk about this topic because I feel as though it doesn't get covered a great deal, especially in the gardening industry, or for that matter, any of the kind of service-based industries. You know, you've got a guy in a van, whatever he does, whatever trade he is, they don't seem to talk about sales and marketing. And I think it's really important. That is the backbone of every business. Every business. You know, don't get me wrong, customer service is paramount, but without sales and marketing, you are not getting any leads. You are not getting any inquiries, and your business will not grow. And it's not even my opinion, that is just how it is. Every company needs some sort of sales and marketing. Even you can say, well, I solely run my business on recommendation. Okay, that's great, but that's still part of marketing. You've got other people doing your marketing for you. So if you haven't got that stream of advertising or work coming in, then you just won't grow, you won't have a business. And I think the world we live in now is a completely different kettle of fish from when I did it originally. You know, social media wasn't really what it is today. You didn't have things like TikTok, and like Instagram was around, but it wasn't really used for business. It was for people showing just pictures of their life. Facebook was a place that you went for, I suppose, like a bit of a diary filler, in my opinion, or you would always kind of get the cheap work, the work that nobody really wanted. Somebody wanted a cheap job, and that's my personal opinion and personal kind of relationship with it back in the day. And that's because that's the kind of work that I got, and the kind of work that a lot of people I knew, tradespeople, get. But now it's completely different, and I think you've got to get your sales and marketing right. And a lot of people don't understand the difference between sales and marketing. And please, you know, I am no expert by far. I'm not. I'm not going to say I'm an expert. So people might chime in and give their opinion or their view on it, which is what I want. I want to start a bit of a discussion, because I don't feel as though people talk about it enough. So marketing, I think it all starts with marketing. So marketing is where you get your brand out there, you stir up interest, you stir up people viewing your business, and you get leads. So let's say a gardener. I'm a gardener, and you put a post out. Okay, you put a Facebook post out, and that's marketing. Yeah. So then you might say, I've got a special offer, I'm cutting grass for 20 quid, and you get a lead. So that lead is someone that comes to you and says, I would like my grass cut for £20. And that's pretty much a hot lead, because they know the price, they've seen the advert, and they've already said, I want that. But if you advertise for something, say garden maintenance, inquire below, somebody could message you and say, okay, I want garden maintenance, can we come out and do a site visit? And that's like a bit of it's not a cold lead, but it's not a hot lead in my opinion, because you could still lose that job. But when you go out to that customer and you say, hello Mrs. Jones, I've come today to look at your garden, you've inquired about garden maintenance, you could say whatever your pitch is, but that is sales. So you have to go there and you have to close that lead. So you could say, I'm £10 an hour, I'll bring all my own tools, and I will work all day. I'll do a 10-hour day for £100, and that includes everything. 99% of the time, you are going to close that job. You are going to win that job. There's no doubt about it. You won't be in business long, but you'll win that job. Or you could go up to that customer and you could say, I am £50 an hour, I have no tools. You have to come to my house and pick me up. Just saying it makes me laugh. But imagine, and there is a 1% chance that you are ever going to get that job. Okay, so marketing has brought that lead in, but your sales technique, your sales pattern, let's say, is going to mean that you either win that job or you lose that job. So that's the difference between sales and marketing. And the higher ticket the job, say like your landscaping work, your contract work, if you're going up against another company, this is where your sales technique, your sales banter, whatever you want to call it, really comes into play, where price is a massive factor, you know, availability is a big matter, but even how you look, I think. If you look professional, if you look like you know what you're doing, if you look like you can take the job on, like little old me, if I went up against let's say a big Tesco contract, the manager might say or might think there's no way this guy can deal with it, and I probably can't. But if you rock up there with, you know, a well-known brand, you've got a team of guys, you've got ride-on mows, you've got all the kit, it's like, yeah, this guy can do the job. So can you see the difference? Where sales really depends on your kind of skill, how you put yourself across, your whole package, really. And I think there's like marketing and sales, people confuse the two, but marketing and sales, in my opinion, are quite different approaches. Whereas marketing is, you got to have your kind of campaigns. Now you can do Facebook adverts, Google adverts, and you can spend as much or as little as you want. And then sales is all down to you, really. I think how you look. You could rock up there looking like a bag of spanners, torn t-shirt, no name on your t-shirt, no name on your van, an old tatty van, and you're not going to get most of the work because, you know, I always liken it to a car salesman or an estate agent. You know, really, generally, they always look quite smart. And the higher ticket up, you know, you go to like a Porsche garage or a Range Rover garage, that salesman looks good, he looks smart, because that's the kind of clientele that you're dealing with. And I think it shows that you take pride in what you're doing, takes pride in what you're selling, and you believe in the product. So I want to just start this conversation. I could talk for, well, too long really about sales and marketing, but I think it's a massive thing, really important, something that us tradespeople really need to talk about more and kind of go about it. I've got friends who have franchises where they do a lot of schools, a lot of contract grass cutting and arboriculture, where they do a lot of email campaigns. They're on the telephone, they've got somebody in the office ringing people all day, every day. That's marketing and sales as well, because you've got to ring that person and you've got to sell your services. So I want to know what you kind of people do. How do you market your business? And when that lead comes into your business, how do you sell it? What do you do? How do you go about it? And there's a big difference here when you've got your one-man bands who kind of, like me, you know, I am that guy where you can kind of get to the point where it's like, right, I'm taking on no more work, you don't advertise, you don't market, and if people do ring you up, you know, they want you, they've come from a recommendation, so that is a very hot lead, it's pretty much as a done deal, you can still turn around and say, no, I'm not interested, I don't want the work. So how do you feel about that? Like what kind of what happens? Do you know what I mean? Like I'm just really interested to know people's thoughts and how you close deals. I know it sounds a bit corporate, really, closing deals, but it is what it is, isn't it? It is true. I think sometimes, like I've seen gardeners before where they kind of put themselves down. As gardeners, we can kind of get looked down upon as not proper trades, and it's like, oh, you're just a gardener. But it's a load of rubbish in my opinion. Gardeners, you know, it's a true skill to be a proper gardener. But in like any self-employment, any business where you run yourself, you're also a salesman, you're a marketer, you're an accountant, you are the grafter, the labourer, you know, or you can also be a machinery engineer if you're fixing your own tools. There's so much to do when you work for yourself. And I don't like when people put themselves down and people put gardeners down. It's a bit ridiculous, really. So, but I'm really intrigued to see how you guys run your business where it comes to the sales and marketing side. So I'm just rocking up to my next job. Let me know what you do. Let me know your thoughts, how you market your business. People have been going for a long time. Is it solely recommendation? People who've got a big business where they've got multiple vans, multiple teams, you know, they've got their own kind of operations managers or contracts managers, whatever. How are you marketing your business? Because I think I learnt this the hard way. I'll be completely honest. Like when I ran my own business 3-4 years ago, I took my eye off the ball, and very quickly my work started to dry up. And that hit home to me. You can sometimes get very comfortable, I think, and you can take the eye off the ball, and before you know it, your phone's quiet. Because what you don't want your phone to be quiet. I think it's always better for that lead to come in, your phone to be ringing, and you'd say, sorry, I'm too busy, I can't take any more clients on, as opposed to not having that phone ringing. But obviously you've got to have that balance. I get it. When you're very busy, you do multiple jobs a day, it's hot, you're knackered. I think you just got to be very careful. And that's one thing that I want to do differently now. I don't want to, or at least I'm going to try my very hardest to not take my eye off the ball when it comes to the sales and marketing side, because I think that is the first thing to go. And very quickly, before you know it, you can be in a bit of a situation where you have no leads coming in. Because in this day and age now, with AI and Facebook marketing, social media marketing, you've got a guy down the road who can very quickly outgrow your business. And that is the truth of the matter. There's work to be done. There's a lot of work out there, and someone is going to do it. So I think it's really interesting to start this conversation and see how you people work. So hit me up in the comments, and yeah, let's go from there. I'll see you soon, guys. See you soon.